Okay, so get this. Have you ever heard of like solving a historical cold case with DNA?
Sounds intriguing. Go on.
Well, we're diving into one today, a 900-year-old skeleton called, it's nicknamed the Well Man, anyway.
The Well Man.
Yeah, they found it at the bottom of a castle well in Norway.
Okay, a skeleton in a well.
And get this, there's this 800-year-old Norse saga called Sverris Saga, and it actually might hold clues to who this guy was.
Wow, using a saga in science, now that's a unique way to approach a mystery.
Right?
What sources are we using for this deep dive?
Well, we've got this really cool article from Science Daily.
Okay.
It talked all about how scientists use this saga and some pretty incredible DNA analysis to like figure out who this well man was. So are you ready to explore this?
Absolutely. Lead the way.
All right, so first let's set the scene. It's 1197 AD, Sverresborg Castle in Norway.
Okay.
And the Sverris Saga describes this like super intense battle.
Uh-huh.
And during all this chaos, someone gets thrown down a well. Yeah, and the saga kind of suggests that they might have been trying to poison the water supply, during the siege.
Talk about a brutal tactic.
I know, right? So then fast forward to 1938.
Okay.
They discover a skeleton in this well.
Right, where the saga said.
Exactly. But back then, technology was pretty limited, so the analysis they could do was pretty basic.
Right.
But now,
Now.
we've got radiocarbon dating and advanced gene sequencing. It's just like having like a historical CSI team or something.
That's amazing. So what did they learn about this well man with these new techniques?
Well, first they confirmed his age, right? About 900 years old,
Wow.
which matches up with the saga's timeline.
Okay.
They also found out he was male and between 30 and 40 years old when he died.
So the saga and science seem to be lining up so far.
Yeah, and it gets even cooler. Just wait.
Okay, I'm listening.
They were able to extract DNA from one of his teeth.
Really?
Yeah, and they sequenced his entire genome.
From a 900-year-old tooth.
I know, it's incredible, right?
That's amazing what they can do these days.
And from that, get this, they could actually tell that he probably had blue eyes and either blonde or light brown hair.
Wow, they can figure that out from DNA.
Yeah, and that's not all.
There's more.
They even traced his ancestry to Vest-Agder, the southernmost county in Norway.
Wait, they could pinpoint his ancestry that precisely? How is that even possible?
Well, it's thanks to this huge database of modern Norwegian genomes.
Uh-huh.
So by comparing the well man's DNA to this database, they found a match.
Wow, it's like connecting dots across 1,000 years.
I know, right? It's mind-blowing.
So we have this 800-year-old saga, and then science just steps in and fills in all the gaps.
Yeah, it's incredible.
But doesn't the saga already kind of tell us what happened to him? What else is there to figure out?
Well, that's where things get kind of interesting. The research team actually says that the saga might not be the whole story.
Really?
Yeah, they think the scientific evidence allows for, like, a more nuanced understanding of what might have happened.
So there might be more to this than we initially thought.
Exactly. It's not as straightforward as it seems.
Okay, so what's the scientific evidence telling us that the saga isn't?
Well, for one thing, the saga says he was a casualty of this big battle,
Right.
right? Thrown into the well by the enemy.
Right.
But when they analyzed his skeleton, there weren't any, like, obvious signs of trauma or injury.
So he may not have died in battle after all.
Right. He could have ended up in the well for a totally different reason.
That changes things.
I know, right? It opens up all these possibilities.
So if it wasn't the battle, how did he end up at the bottom of that well?
That's the million-dollar question.
Was it an accident?
Yeah, maybe.
Or some kind of ritual?
It's possible.
Or something else entirely?
We just don't know yet.
I'm hooked. What other clues did these scientists find?
Well, let's dive deeper into that DNA analysis. It's even more fascinating than what we've talked about, I promise.
All right, let's dive into that DNA analysis.
Yeah, so I have to admit, some of the technical stuff went over my head a bit.
Oh, sure.
Like, how do they actually analyze ancient DNA like that?
Well, so it all starts with extracting the DNA from the tooth. And remember, they had to grind it up to avoid contamination, right, from modern handlers.
Right.
And then they use a process called DNA sequencing. It's like reading a genetic blueprint,
Okay.
figuring out the order of those chemical building blocks.
So basically like decoding a secret message.
Yeah, you could say that.
But how do they know what it means? Like, what are they comparing this sequence to?
Well, they compare it to these huge databases of modern human genomes,
Right.
particularly those from Norway in this case. And these databases, they have information about all the genetic variations found in different populations.
So by comparing the Wellman sequence to these modern genomes, they can see things like his hair color and eye color and his ancestry.
Exactly. It's like finding specific patterns in his DNA that match up with patterns found in people people living in certain regions today.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
But how reliable are these markers after 900 years? Doesn't DNA degrade over time?
It does, yeah. But the well man was found submerged in water at the bottom of that well.
Right.
And that water actually acted like a preservative,
Oh, interesting.
protecting his DNA from significant decay. It's a lucky break for scientists, really.
So the well itself helped preserve this historical treasure trove of genetic information, just waiting for us to develop the tools to decode it.
Yeah, you could say that.
But I guess even with the advanced technology, we're still piecing together a puzzle, right? Trying to make sense of the clues.
That's right.
And it's not just the DNA, right? We also have the archaeological evidence and the historical context from the saga.
Exactly. And each of those brings a different piece to the puzzle, right?
Yeah.
And by combining them, we can create a more complete and nuanced picture of the past.
It's like having this team of detectives, each with their own set of skills, working together to crack the case.
That's a great analogy.
But why does this even matter? Why should we care about this one guy from 900 years ago?
Well, his story might seem like just an isolated incident, but it actually touches on some pretty big themes about human history and identity. It allows us to connect with the past in a personal and tangible way,
Okay, I'm listening.
We're learning about the life of a real individual who lived centuries ago, seeing his face, understanding his ancestry, and getting glimpses into his world. It reminds us that these historical figures weren't just names in a book. They were real people with lives and stories.
It makes history feel more real, more human.
Exactly.
And it's not just about this one man, right? His story is connected to bigger historical trends,
Absolutely.
like migration patterns and how entire populations evolved.
Yeah, by tracing his ancestry back to Vest Agder, we can start to understand how people moved and interacted across Scandinavia, during the Viking Age. We can see how his genetic lineage connects to modern populations, highlighting a continuity of human history and our shared heritage.
It's like drawing a line through time, connecting us to this individual from so long ago. And as we sequence more ancient genomes, we'll just keep uncovering more connections, right? Weaving a more intricate tapestry of human history.
Precisely. And the possibilities extend beyond just migration patterns.
Oh, right. Like what?
Well, we can also use ancient DNA to study the evolution of diseases.
Oh, yeah, because diseases leave traces in our DNA.
Right, and by studying the DNA of people from the past, we can learn how diseases have evolved over time, how they spread, how they might have impacted past populations.
Like having a time machine for disease research.
Exactly.
We could potentially, trace the origins of certain illnesses,
Yeah.
understand how they've changed, maybe even develop new treatments.
You got it.
Wow, it's amazing to think how far we've come in terms of what we can learn from just one skeleton.
Yeah,
What other secrets are still waiting to be unlocked?
that's a great question, and it's one we'll explore in our final segment. Get ready for a glimpse into the future of ancient DNA research and the potential it holds for, rewriting history as we know it.
We've talked about battlefields and DNA, and it's amazing how much we've learned from just one skeleton.
Right. It really makes you wonder what else is out there. What other mysteries are just waiting to be uncovered with ancient DNA?
Exactly. So what other historical mysteries are we talking about? What's next for this kind of research?
Well, imagine being able to learn more about these historical figures, the ones whose identities have been debated for centuries.
Okay, yeah.
We could confirm or debunk some of those beliefs about who they were and where they came from.
We could actually put a face to the name.
Exactly, like St. Olaf, remember we talked about him.
Right.
If we ever find his remains, imagine confirming his identity and seeing his face.
It would be incredible to see those figures from the history books come to life.
I know, right?
And it's not just about individuals, right?
Right.
What about bigger historical trends?
Absolutely. Think about understanding migration patterns on a much larger scale.
Okay, yeah.
By analyzing the DNA of these ancient populations, we can trace how people moved across continents and how they interacted with each other.
It's like creating a family tree for all of humanity
That's a great way to put it.
and tracing our roots back through time.
And across continents, yeah.
And don't forget about the diseases.
Oh, right. Ancient DNA can help us understand how diseases have evolved too.
It's like having a time machine for disease research.
Exactly.
We can see where certain illnesses came from and how they spread and how they impacted people in the past.
And that information could even help us develop new treatments today.
It's incredible how much potential there is in this field.
I know. The Wellman story really just opened our eyes to the possibilities of ancient DNA research.
It's not just about solving mysteries, it's about rewriting history as we know it.
Exactly. And as we sequence more ancient genomes, who knows what we'll discover?
It's like we're just scratching the surface.
We are. And as we refine our techniques, we'll keep gaining a deeper understanding of our shared human story.
This has been a fascinating deep dive. Thanks for taking us through it.
My pleasure. I'm always happy to talk about the power of ancient DNA.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us.
And until next time, keep exploring those mysteries of the past.